Hello friends, welcome back to the channel. Tonight, we're diving into a story that will question everything you think you know about the person lying next to you. It's a tale of a love that was a lie, a death that was a deception, and a revenge that was ice cold. This is the story of Clara, and the night she discovered the stranger in her marriage bed. Before we begin, if you're ready for a story that will have you questioning every shadow in your own home, let me know where you are watching from. Hit that like button and ring the notification bell. It tells the algorithm you're part of our inner circle and you never want to miss a story like this. We appreciate every like, share, and subscription. It keeps us going. Let's begin. The rain was a soft, persistent whisper against the window panes. A sound so familiar it had become part of the house's heartbeat. Clara Evans smoothed the duvet over her sleeping husband, Liam's, form. His breathing was deep and even. A steady rhythm she'd fallen asleep to for 7 years. She kissed his temple, inhaling the familiar scent of his sandalwood shampoo, and something uniquely him. It was a ritual, a comfort, the anchor of her world. She was just settling into her own book. The warm glow of the bedside lamp, painting everything in soft gold, when the doorbell rang. Not a ring. A blare. Insistent, official, cutting through the peaceful symphony of the rain. Liam didn't stir. He was a deep sleeper, a bear in hibernation after a long shift at the architectural firm. Clara frowned, checking the clock. 11:47 p.m. Who could that be? Padding downstairs, her fluffy robe wrapped tightly around her, she peered through the peephole. 2 figures, silhouetted by the porch light, distorted by the fisheye lens. One was a woman in a crisp police uniform, her face a mask of grim professionalism. The other, a man in a plain overcoat, his expression unreadable. Her heart, a moment ago so calm, began a frantic tap dance against her ribs. An accident? Family? Her mind raced through a Rolodex of worst-case scenarios as she unchained and opened the door. "Mrs. Clara Evans?" the female officer asked, her voice low and respectful. "Yes? Is everything all right?" Clara's voice was barely a whisper, stolen by a sudden icy dread. "I'm Officer Briggs, and this is Detective Miller," the woman said, gesturing to the man beside her. "May we come in? It's about your husband, Liam Evans." The world tilted. Clara gripped the doorframe. "Liam, he's upstairs. He's asleep." The words sounded foolish even to her own ears. Detective Miller's eyes softened with a pity that made her stomach clench. "Ma'am, I'm afraid that's not possible. We need you to sit down." They guided her, numb and compliant, to her own living room sofa. The detective sat opposite her, leaning forward, his hands clasped. "Mrs. Evans, there's no easy way to say this. At approximately 10:30 p.m. tonight, emergency services were called to a multi-vehicle accident on the I-90 bridge. A head-on collision. One of the drivers was pronounced dead at the scene." Clara shook her head. A frantic denial. No, you're mistaken. My husband is upstairs. I just checked on him. He's sleeping. We recovered his wallet, Mrs. Evans, his driver's license, credit cards, all identifying him as Liam Evans. The vehicle was his blue Audi S5, license plate matching our records. The room began to spin. The blue Audi, his pride and joy. He'd driven it to work that morning, but that was impossible. He'd come home. They'd had dinner. They'd watched a movie. He'd kissed her goodnight. "You're wrong," she insisted, her voice gaining a hysterical edge. "He's here. I'll show you." She stumbled to her feet, ignoring their placating words, and ran up the stairs, the officers close behind. She burst into the bedroom, pointing a trembling finger at the bed. See? There he is. That's my husband. Liam was still asleep, one arm thrown over his head, his face peaceful in the lamplight. Officer Briggs and Detective Miller stood in the doorway, their expressions shifting from pity to profound confusion. They looked from the man in the bed to the distraught woman, then to each other. "Ma'am," Detective Miller said slowly, carefully. "The man we identified at the scene. The man in the Audi. There was no doubt. His face, his identification. He's at the morgue. We need you to come down and formally identify the body." Clara's blood ran cold. Formally identify the body. The words were like shards of glass. Her eyes were glued to Liam's chest, rising and falling with each breath. This was real. He was real. He was warm. He was alive. The sleeping man chose that moment to stir. Liam's eyes fluttered open, squinting against the light. He saw Clara, her face pale and streaked with tears, and then the two police officers in his bedroom. He shot up in bed, the duvet pooling around his waist. "Clara? What the hell is going on? Who are these people?" His voice. It was his voice. The same baritone that told her he loved her every night. Detective Miller stepped forward, his hand resting subtly near his hip. "Sir, I'm Detective Miller. Can you please state your full name?" Liam looked utterly bewildered. "Liam Michael Evans. What is this? Clara, what's happening?" "There's been an accident, sir," Miller said, his eyes never leaving Liam's face. "A fatal one. Involving your vehicle. Your identification was found on the victim." Liam's face went through a rapid series of emotions. Confusion, disbelief, and then a dawning, chilling horror. "My car? That's impossible. I took a rideshare home today. My car is in the shop for detailing. It's at Precision Auto on 4th Street. The silence in the room was thicker than the darkness outside. Clara felt the ground solidify beneath her feet. The shop. He'd mentioned it this morning. "Don't need the car today, honey." Dropping it at Precision. She'd been half asleep, barely registering it. But the police. They said it was his car. His ID. Detective Miller's radio crackled to life. He turned away, speaking in low, urgent tones. He turned back, his face a granite slab of seriousness. "The car is registered to you, Mr. Evans. The man driving had your wallet. We need to understand who that man island. And we need to understand why he was driving your car. With your identification. An hour ago." Liam just shook his head, his face ashen. "I have no idea. I swear to God, I have no idea." Can you imagine? The sheer, mind-shattering whiplash of that moment. Relief that your husband is alive. Terror that a stranger died with his name. And the creeping, venomous question. Why? Who was that man? And why did he have Liam's life in his pocket? Comment right now with your first theory. Who do you think that man was? Don't worry. We're just getting started. The next 48 hours were a blur of stark, fluorescent lighting and hushed, serious voices. The morgue identification was the stuff of nightmares. Clara had held Liam's hand. The living, breathing Liam, as she stared through a glass partition at a sheet-draped gurney. The coroner pulled back the sheet just enough to reveal a face. It was Liam's face. Swollen, bruised, and lifeless, but undeniably his features. The same strong jaw, the same arch of the brow, the same faint scar above his lip from a childhood bicycle accident. Clara's knees gave way. Only Liam's tight grip kept her upright. "It's not me, Clara," he whispered, his voice hoarse with a horror that mirrored her own. "I swear it's not me." DNA tests were ordered. Dental records were pulled. While they waited for incontrovertible proof, the police investigation turned to Liam. Detective Miller's questions became sharper, more pointed. "Who had access to your car, Mr. Evans? Who knew you were taking it to the detailer? Can anyone verify you were at work all day? Is there anyone who would want to impersonate you? Anyone who would benefit from people thinking you were dead?" Liam had answers, but they were fraying at the edges. He was stressed, he said. He couldn't think straight. Clara became his staunchest defender. She was his rock, his alibi. "He was here with me," she'd tell the detective, her voice firm even as her soul trembled. "We had pasta. We watched a documentary on Netflix. He was here, but alone." In the quiet moments, the cracks began to appear. A tiny, insidious voice in her head started whispering. She remembered the times Liam had been working late, his phone going straight to voicemail. The business trips that seemed to come out of nowhere. The new passcode on his phone 6 months ago. "For work security," he'd said. One evening, while Liam was in the shower, his phone buzzed on the nightstand. A notification lit up the screen. Email. Bank of Zurich. Account statement. Ready for review. The Bank of Zurich? They didn't have an account there. Her heart hammered. This was it. A thread. She grabbed the phone. Passcode locked. She tried his old code. Their anniversary. Incorrect. She tried his birthday. Incorrect. With trembling fingers, she typed in the numbers of the scar above the lip story he'd told her. 0827. The phone unlocked. Her blood went from ice to fire. She was in. The email was just a notification. No details. But it was enough. She opened his banking app. Their joint account was there, healthy but unremarkable. Then she saw it. Another account, listed under his name only. She tapped it. The balance took her breath away. $287,000. Nearly $300,000. Hidden from her. Where did this money come from? His salary was good, but not this good. Her mind flew back to the detective's question. Who would benefit from people thinking you were dead? A life insurance policy. Their life insurance policy. She ran to the filing cabinet, her hands shaking so badly she could barely pull the drawer open. She found the folder. Joint life insurance. A double indemnity clause for accidental death. The payout. $1.5 million. Her vision swam. Was this it? Was he planning to fake his death? Run away with his hidden fortune? And leave her with a corpse to bury? But the plan went wrong. The man he hired to drive his car, to be found with his ID, had crashed too early, before Liam could disappear. It was the only thing that made sense. Betrayal, cold and sharp, stabbed through her. The man sleeping in the next room wasn't her husband. He was a stranger, a liar, a monster. Liam emerged from the bathroom, towel around his waist, smiling. "Hey, you. Everything okay?" Clara looked at him, at the man she loved, the man she'd built a life with, and saw a masterful illusion. She forced a smile, one that felt like it cracked her face. "Yeah," she whispered. "Everything's fine." But it wasn't fine. It was war. Alex, addressing the camera. The shift from grief to suspicion to cold, hard fury. Clara's entire reality has been shattered. What would you do in that moment? Confront him? Call the police? Or would you do something else? Something smarter? Let me know in the comments what your next move would be. The game has changed. Clara didn't confront him. Confrontation gave him the advantage time to lie, to gaslight, to cover his tracks. Instead, she became the perfect, supportive wife. She held him when he jumped at shadows. She reassured him when the police questioned him again. She was his devoted partner, all while silently gathering ammunition. She hired a private investigator, a stoic, efficient woman named Val, who asked no questions and demanded no explanations. Clara paid her from the joint account, let him finance his own downfall. The findings from Val arrived in drips, each one a drop of poison. Finding 1. The detailer on 4th Street, Precision Auto, had no record of Liam's car. It had never been there. Finding 2. Liam's rideshare receipt home from work was a forgery. A PDF, created on his own laptop and emailed to himself. Finding 3. The $287,000 had been deposited in a series of large, untraceable cashier's checks over the past 18 months. Finding 4. The kill shot. Val managed to get a copy of the dead man's fingerprints from a contact at the coroner's office. They were run through a private database. His name was Leo Vartan, a small-time con artist and actor from Los Angeles, specializing in impersonations and scams. He'd been hired for a role. His last known communication was a text to a burner phone. "The performance is set for tonight. The audience is waiting. See you on the other side." It was all true. Every horrible suspicion. Liam had hired an actor to impersonate him, to die in his car, so he could vanish and claim a new life with his stolen money. Leo Vartan was the poor, doomed stand-in. Clara's grief solidified into a diamond-hard resolve for revenge. He didn't just want to leave her. He wanted to emotionally destroy her, to have her mourn a man who never existed, all while he laughed from a beach somewhere. Well, 2 could play at that game. Her plan was not to expose him. It was to become his perfect accomplice and lead him right into the trap. One night, she broke down. She poured 2 glasses of wine, let the tears flow, and confessed her discovery. "I saw the bank account, Liam," she sobbed, not having to fake the tremor in her voice. "The hidden one. And I know about the insurance." Liam's face went pale. "Clara, I can explain." "No." She cut him off, placing a hand on his. "You don't have to. I get it. I've been so blind. This marriage. We're drowning. The silence. The distance. I feel it too." She saw the shock in his eyes, quickly masked by cautious hope. She was giving him an out he never expected. You do?" "I saw the statement from Zurich," she whispered, leaning in conspiratorially. "You've been planning an escape. For us? Or just for you?" It was a gamble. A huge one. Liam stared at her, and she saw the calculations flashing behind his eyes. The perfect lie was always wrapped in truth. He took her hands. "For us, Clara. God. For us. This life. This grind. It's a cage. I have the money. I have a plan. I was going to tell you after it was done. I was going to take us somewhere we could really live." He was so smooth, so convincing. If she didn't know the truth, she might have believed him. He was weaving her into his web, making her complicit. It was exactly what she wanted. "The man in the car," she prompted. "A tragic part of the plan," he said, his voice dripping with false remorse. "An actor. A nobody. He was supposed to have a minor accident, just enough to be seen and identified as me. The car was supposed to be found abandoned later. The crash. It was never supposed to happen. It was a terrible accident." He pulled her into an embrace. She let him, resting her head on his chest, listening to the heartbeat of the man she was going to destroy. "We can still do this," he whispered into her hair. "The police think it's a bizarre case of mistaken identity. They'll close it. We wait a few weeks. Then we disappear. Together. Together." The ultimate betrayal. He was now trying to lure her into his sinful fantasy. "Okay," Clara whispered, feigning a mix of fear and excitement. "Okay. Together." The psychological twist here is breathtaking. Clara isn't just fighting him. She's joining him. She's mirroring his deceit to trap him. It's a dangerous, brilliant game. Do you think she's making the right move? Or is she walking right into his trap? Comment brilliant or dangerous below. The following weeks were a masterclass in acting. Clara and Liam became partners in crime, planning their great escape. He showed her the fake passports, the plans for a villa in Bali, the new identities. He was giddy, empowered by his own cleverness and her perceived submission. He had no idea he was a mouse dancing for a snake. Clara, with Val's help, was doing her own planning. She secretly met with Detective Miller, laying out everything: the hidden money, the forged rideshare, the identity of the dead man, Leo Vartan. She played the terrified wife, scared of her criminal husband, begging for protection and justice. Miller was stunned. He'd had his suspicions about Liam, but Clara's discovery and bravery gave him everything he needed for a wiretap and full surveillance. The final act was set. Liam decided they would vanish on a Friday night. He would transfer the final funds from the hidden account to an offshore vault. They would drive to a private airfield and be gone before anyone knew they were missing. The day arrived. Liam was buzzing with nervous energy. "This is it, baby. Our new beginning. I can't wait," Clara said, smiling, her eyes dead. She insisted on a last supper at their favorite quiet restaurant, for old times' sake. He agreed, seeing it as a romantic gesture. What it really was a controlled environment for the police to monitor. During dinner, Clara excused herself to the restroom. Inside a stall, she texted Val and Miller one word: "Now." She returned to the table, her heart a drum. Minutes ticked by. Liam finished his wine, reaching for her hand. Ready to become someone new? Just then, his phone buzzed. He looked at it, frowning. It was a notification from his bank. The $287,000 transfer he'd initiated had been flagged for fraud and frozen. Then another alert. The Bank of Zurich account had been seized by authorities. Confusion, then dawning horror, spread across his face. "What? What is this?" Clara tilted her head. "It looks like your escape plan has a few holes, Leo." The name hung in the air between them. The name of the dead man. Liam's face went slack with shock. "What did you call me?" "Leo Vartan," Clara repeated, her voice calm and cold as steel. "A small-time con artist and actor from LA. Quite the specialist. Your last role was your best. The dead husband. But you're not very good at staying dead, are you?" He stared at her, his mouth opening and closing, no sound coming out. The illusion of Liam Evans was crumbling before her eyes, revealing the terrified stranger beneath. You knew?" "I knew the moment I unlocked your phone with the numbers from your childhood scar. The scar my Liam got falling from a tree, not a bike. A story he told me on our third date. You knew the broad strokes, but you didn't know the details. You're a good actor, Leo, but you're a terrible husband." The entire scheme unfolded in her icy monologue. The real Liam Evans was already dead, murdered by Leo over a year ago, during one of his business trips. When Leo discovered Liam was embezzling from his own firm and had amassed a small fortune, Leo saw the ultimate opportunity: steal the money, steal the identity, and then stage a death to disappear cleanly. The embezzlement was the source of the hidden cash. The life insurance was just a bonus. But he'd grown comfortable playing husband. He'd grown to want Clara, the life, the stability. So he decided to take that too. He just had to get rid of Liam first. The man who died in the crash was a patsy, Clara said, a single tear tracing a path down her cheek, not for Leo, but for the real Liam, whose fate she'd just deduced. Another actor you hired to play you, so you could watch your own funeral and live on as my grieving widower before suggesting we run away together with the insurance money. You killed my husband. You tried to steal his life. And you thought you could steal me. At that moment, Detective Miller and his team moved in. They surrounded the table. Leo Vartan, Miller said. You're under arrest for the murder of Liam Evans. Identity theft, fraud, and conspiracy to commit insurance fraud. You have the right to remain silent. As the cuffs clicked shut, Liam's eyes locked on Clara. They were filled with a hatred so pure it was almost admirable. You bitch, he hissed. You treacherous bitch. Clara leaned forward, her voice a whisper only he could hear. The performance is over. The audience is done waiting. There is no other side for you. The twist. Did you see it coming? The husband was the imposter all along. The ultimate betrayal. Clara's revenge wasn't violent, it was intellectual. It was psychological. She didn't just beat him. She thought him, and let the walls he built become his prison. If this twist shocked you, smash that like button. Let's see how many minds we can blow today. The fallout was immense. The real Liam was exhumed from a shallow grave in a remote woodland Leo had purchased. Clara could finally truly mourn her husband. A flawed man who had made a terrible mistake with embezzlement, but who didn't deserve to be murdered and replaced. She donated the embezzled funds back to the architectural firm, avoiding any posthumous scandal for Liam's family. The life insurance payout, rightfully hers, she used to start a foundation helping the families of identity theft and violent crime victims. She refused to be a victim. She became a survivor, a warrior. She sometimes still wakes up at night, the ghost of a touch on her skin, the echo of a voice that wasn't her husband's whispering in her ear. The psychological scars run deep. Trust is a language she's had to relearn from scratch. But she sleeps in her own bed, in her own house, and the face she sees in the mirror is her own. Her story, her identity, was almost stolen. But she fought for it, and she won. This story, friends, is a stark reminder. The most dangerous prisons aren't made of stone and steel. They're built from lies, crafted by those we trust the most. Clara's revenge was powerful because it wasn't about hatred. It was about reclaiming her truth. She used the villain's own weapon, deceit, and turned it against him, ensuring justice was served not by her hands, but by the cold, unforgiving hand of the law. The lesson here is profound. Pay attention to the details. Trust your intuition. If something feels wrong, it probably island. The truth, no matter how horrifying, is always a safer foundation to build on than the most beautiful lie. What did you take away from Clara's story? What would you have done differently? Share your thoughts and your own stories of betrayal and resilience in the comments below. Your vulnerability helps others. And if you believe in the power of the truth, hit that subscribe button. Because this world needs more stories where the good guys win. Until next time, stay aware, stay strong, and never stop questioning the shadows.